the darkest moment in TV history.
Now, which of these ways would you choose to reveal your secret crush on someone? A, would you write that person a letter?
It's March 6th, 1995, as taping begins on an all-new episode of The Jenny Jones Show. The program was essentially
Jenny
a tabloid
Jones.
talk show centered around everyday people caught up in unusual circumstances, which made for an entertaining yet often questionable program, with the showrunners
Right.
doing everything in their power to make the content as shocking and sensational as possible. And this
Okay.
episode was set to be no different. The segment centered around 6 people, each of whom had a secret admirer, who would be revealed for the very first time here on the show, with the most compelling of the group by far shaping up to be 24-year-old Jonathan Schmitz. Like the
Jonathan
others, someone had a
Schmitz.
long-standing crush on Jonathan, but was too afraid to tell him.
Oh.
And upon hearing of this, Jonathan hoped in the back of his mind that it would be his longtime ex-girlfriend, who he had a newfound interest in marrying, though he was in for quite a shock. The twist in the episode was that Jonathan's secret admirer was actually a man named Scott Amador.
What?
The two were actually good friends, though Scott had never once mentioned having any sort of romantic interest in him, due to the fact that Jonathan was straight, and had never given any sort of indication otherwise, setting the scene for what was surely going to be a shocking reveal. A reveal that the crowd just couldn't wait to see.
B, would you tell the person in private in case he rejects you? Or C, would you tell that person that you're gay and you hope he is on national television?
Oh, hell no. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. The old 90s or 80s shows were crazy, dude. They would do like crazy stuff. Like on live. Like a weird, crazy stuff live, and no one will ask any questions. For real.
The host, Jenny Jones, starts by talking to Scott and a mutual friend, inquiring as to how this crush began in the first place.
I want you now to meet Donna and Scott. Now, Donna has been helping Scott pursue his secret crush on John. John's backstage. He can't hear us. How bad's the crush?
Okay.
Tell me about the first time you met him. Where was he?
Basically, well, he was under a car, working on her brake line.
Yeah. And that was your first time? What was your first impression?
Well, I only saw the lower half of him, so you can imagine.
Before she begins to dig even deeper, pushing Scott to disclose as much graphic personal information as possible, just to make things that much more entertaining, and his answers did not disappoint.
Okay, you think about you have fantasies about him?
I've had a couple,
Yeah,
yeah.
you had one he was under the car, you had a fantasy about him.
Yeah, something to do with like brake oil line snapping and.
You have another one that involved you were in a hammock or something? Tell us about that fantasy.
Yeah, I
Bro,
thought
what
about tying
i-
him up to my hammock.
What are these questions from this interviewer or this, this lady for real? What the hell?
With all of Scott's secrets now out in the open, it was time to bring out the man himself, the object
Okay.
of Scott's affection, who had absolutely no idea what he was walking into.
Let's have John
Right.
come out here and see who has the crush on him. Here's John.
What was that? What kind of hug was that? Weirdos.
This was the pivotal moment of the show, the big reveal, and perhaps overcome by the excitement of the ratings that she assumed this would bring her, Jenny Jones could hardly wait
Yeah,
to blurt
she's
out
waiting
who
for the
Jonathan's admirer
ratings.
truly was.
Did you think Donna had the crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
Jonathan's reaction was certainly one of shock, but the host wasn't quite satisfied, having
Yeah,
one
she
more
wa-
trick up her sleeve
she'll
in
more
order to garner
crispy.
an even stronger reaction, as she gives the producers the cue to replay Scott's segment, where he discussed his fantasies in depth.
Before we talk, take a look at, we'll show a little playback of what Scott said about you, John. Take a look at that one right here.
Man, oh man, oh man.
It entails like whipped cream and champagne, stuff like that.
And from here, the segment comes to a close, with Jonathan reaffirming that he is in fact straight, thus dashing Scott's hopes of ever dating the man.
Did you have any idea that he liked you this much?
No.
Can you tell us what your status is? Are you involved with anybody, or?
No, but I am definitely heterosexual, I guess you could say.
Okay.
leaving the two to head off stage and deal with the messy aftermath of a revelation like this, done on a stage like that. But despite the obvious awkwardness, it actually seemed like both parties took it pretty well, with Jonathan even taking Scott out for dinner that very night to smooth things over, where he again stated that he was flattered but just not interested.
Okay. Now what?
However, this civility wouldn't last long.
3 days. Oh man, some crazy is gonna. No way. He's gonna shoot that guy? Damn.
Hey, calm down, okay? Okay, why did you do that? Okay, I want you to calm down.
Damn.
Okay, you put guns in the car. Okay, I want you to try to calm down. Okay, can you tell me again why you shot the man?
So he was just he was just acting cool. Of course, it was live going on, so he didn't want to make a
Though he
big
didn't
drama
say it at
there,
the
you
time,
know?
the truth was that Jonathan was left shaken and embarrassed by what had happened on the Jenny Jones show. And despite the fact that the program at this point hadn't even aired yet, it was weighing heavily on his mind, just knowing that it would soon be seen by people he knew. And his feeling was only intensified due to the fact that Scott was seemingly not taking no for an answer, leaving a note on Jonathan's door just 3 days later, writing, "If you want to turn this off, you'll have to use a tool. It takes a special tool." This note was his breaking point. The moment Jonathan read it was the moment he made his mind up. He was going to kill Scott Amador. He left his house right then and there and purchased a shotgun, which he used to break down Scott's door, approaching the man and firing 2 shots at point-blank range, both of which connected, killing Scott instantly. With his mission accomplished, Jonathan sped away from the scene, calling the police shortly after and confessing to everything, stating his sole motivation for doing this being the humiliation he felt from Scott's own confession on that TV show, as well as his continued flirtation despite Jonathan's obvious disinterest. Though clearly this was no excuse to kill, and as a result, Jonathan was arrested and given 22 years in prison, from which he was released back in 2017.
Oh, he got
Due to the
released in
fallout from this episode,
2017.
it was pulled from the lineup before it even made it to air. But today, the full recording can be found across the internet, giving us a look at the stage on which a killer was made, and a scene that has now become immortalized as one of the darkest moments in television history.
Damn, that was kinda dark, dude. Hella dark. What? Like...
7月4号的晚上，一家人正常入睡。到了5号。
Oh. Wait, let me hear that again.
7月4号的晚上，一家人正常入睡。到了5号凌晨，意外发生了。
要不要早晨？我醒了
7月4号的晚
On
上
the night， of
一家
the
人
4th of
正常
July,
入睡。
family went to bed.
到了5号
Okay,
凌晨，
but then
意外
also
发生
feel something unmixed.
要
Okay.
不要早晨？我醒了的时候你在。
He had nowhere else to turn. It had been 11 long excruciating days since 55-year-old Shu Guli had last seen his wife, Lai Hueli, who had vanished from their apartment in the dead of night. So now, desperate for help tracking her down, he took to the local news stations, putting out a public plea for any information that could help bring her home. Her disappearance occurred on the 4th of July 2020, which also happened to be their daughter's 11th birthday. To celebrate, Shu made the family a special meal, including his daughter's favorite, meatballs, cooking the entire recipe from scratch, even grinding the beef at home. The dinner was supposedly a success, and to finish things off, Lai and her daughter enjoyed a tall glass of milk poured by Shu before the family turned in for the night.
Alright.
Hours later, in the dead of night, Shu woke to use the restroom, and upon getting back into bed, he briefly watched his wife as she was sleeping peacefully next to him, before he fell back asleep.
But in
He
the
would
morning.
never see her again.
Damn.
24 hours later, Lai Hueli was officially reported missing, and a full-blown investigation into her whereabouts was launched, which is where things begin to get strange. When police searched the apartment complex, they noted a large number of security cameras positioned all over the property, both inside and...
Bro, in China, everywhere you go, almost you are being recorded. Everywhere you go, you are being recorded. There are cameras everywhere, dude. That's why people feel kind of safe here.
And outside of the building, making it all but certain that Lai would be seen in the footage at some point leaving the apartment, which would at least give investigators a timeline as to when she left. The footage first shows Lai and her daughter taking the elevator up to their apartment at 5:04 p.m., which was presumably right before their meal. From there, over 6,000 hours of footage would be reviewed frame by frame, though strangely, Lai was never pictured again. To investigators, this was impossible. The cameras covered every single possible exit, and it was shown that not a single route would have made her completely undetectable to them, which quite simply meant that she could not have left the building. She had to be somewhere inside. And so they searched everywhere in that complex, from the unit she lived in to the AC vents, the water tanks, storage units, everywhere. Though still, they found nothing. Lai was gone, but at the same time, she clearly hadn't left. It was no wonder why Shu felt so helpless in the situation, and fearing that they were reaching a dead end, he began what essentially became his media tour, as he attempted to get as many eyes as possible onto the case in order to help find his wife.
许先生说，7月5号凌晨12点半，他起床上洗手间的时候，妻子还躺在身边。到了清晨5点半，床上就只剩下他一个人。
我也没在意。
I can understand it.
发生这个很正常。之前有没有发生过这种情况？没有。
你问女儿怎么办？我的生活怎么办？啊，我老婆什么时候回来到底？是我都不知道，现在对我。
我把女儿叫起来了，因为女儿在隔壁嘛。那么叫起问她太小，说你妈妈有没有看到？她说没看到。我当时也没怎么在意，反正早晨出去嘛，就是那么继续自己的事情。
These media appearances began to happen numerous times a day across essentially any station that would allow him on. Though even when this failed to garner any leads, he kept the pressure on the public, this time by announcing a reward of 100,000 yen for anyone with information that could help lead to her discovery. Meanwhile, investigators kept digging, searching the area again and again, but still, it just wasn't adding up. There was no way out of that building that hadn't been thoroughly checked over.
Damn, where did she go?
Well, except for one.
Oh.
In what was likely a last-ditch idea, one of the investigators had a hunch that they should check the community septic tank, as that was really the only place that hadn't been thoroughly picked over yet. And so dozens of trucks moved in to sift through weeks of raw sewage. They searched for 25 hours within the grime, filth, and unbearable stench, until they found something. It was an unusual gooey mass that no one could seem to identify, and wanting to know more, they brought the substance back to the lab for testing, only to discover that they had essentially just solved the case. They had found Lai. Or at least what remained of her.
What?
Despite the stories Shu had told investigators and the media, things didn't actually happen the way he said they did on that fateful night. Instead, the couple had actually gotten into an argument.
Damn! I knew, like, oh, damn. Don't tell me he... Oh my god, don't tell me he did that to her. Are you thinking what I'm thinking too? Like... No.
After Shu had cut his hand while preparing the meatball.
Oh, exactly what I...
To which he blamed his wife for the injury, causing the two to have a verbal spat. This was supposedly nothing uncommon for the pair, as the marriage had allegedly turned sour years before due to financial strain, meaning that this was far from their first fight, though it would be their last. When Shu handed his wife and daughter their milk for the night, each tall glass had actually been laced with sleeping medication, with the drug immediately taking effect and knocking both of them out. And with the house now silent, he smothered Lai with a pillow, thus ending her life. But if this was the case, then how did she end up in the septic tank? Well, Shu had a plan. He had previously purchased several large butcher knives, which he used to cut his wife into smaller pieces. However, this still wasn't enough for him, as he wanted to make sure that every trace would be discarded in the most effective way possible. And so, he turned to the kitchen, and more specifically, the area he had prepared the meatballs in earlier, before proceeding to place her remains through the meat grinder, turning Lai into an unrecognizable mass of flesh that he would then methodically flush down the toilet over the course of many hours.
Dude, what? What? What did I just saw?
7月4号的晚上，一家人正常入睡。到了5号凌晨， 意外发生了。
5点半早晨，我醒了。我醒来的时候你不在。
That poor,
Despite playing
that
the role
poor
of a
girl,
loving
that poor
husband and even
daughter.
a victim across his television interviews, this man had actually not only killed his wife, but desecrated her remains in a horrendous fashion. And looking back at some of his answers, it's honestly not all that surprising.
一个人他出不去的，按他的智商老实说，我这么多年了，这跟他做夫妻了，哎，对他了解，他是出不去的，就是。
As a result of his crimes, Shu Gulai would be sentenced to death,
Yeah,
with his
of course.
execution being set to happen in the near future.
Damn, dude. These are crazy, dude. Wow, what a drinda banda, yaar. What a drinda.
With his execution being set to happen in the near future.
मुझे goosebumps से आ रहे हैं अजीब. What is this? Kanji Nagai. Next case. New case.
September 27th, 2007, cameras document an unfolding protest in Yangon, Myanmar, as thousands of people take to
Oh,
the streets to
Myanmar.
express their displeasure with their government. The
Okay.
demonstration was part of an emerging struggle later known as the Saffron Revolution, with tensions having risen in the month prior, when the government made the decision to remove subsidies on the price of gasoline, thus causing gas prices to inflate overnight by over 60%, throwing the economy into instant turmoil.
Oh,
In
so people are
response, the
protesting
Saffron Revolution
against
began,
government.
which was largely spearheaded by the monks of the region, who all preached a peaceful protest,
Okay.
believing that the government would soon come to its senses when they saw that their citizens were unified against them. However, the government showed no signs of letting up. In fact, on this day, they had actually begun taking offensive measures, going as far as to arrest hundreds of monks in response to their picketing. For the residents, this display was shocking, as they struggled to understand how their own government could jail these religious figures. But they had no idea just how much crueler they could get.
Oh,
As the
what?
demonstrators marched in the street that day, a line of officers announced that they had 10 minutes to go home or else they would face dire punishment. But the
Damn.
crowd refused to back down,
Okay.
being intent on marching on to let the world know just how
Damn, look how many people are protesting, dude. That's like whole public is out.
serious they were. And with neither side willing to budge, the officers began to fire their weapons, first into the air as a warning, and then directly at the protesters.
Whoa. So they started killing them? Like by shooting just straight at them. Damn. Oh my god.
It was a massacre, with the official death toll being 10 innocent civilians, while others on
Okay.
site that day posited that the number was likely much higher. The footage
I
is
can think
disturbing on
that.
its own, but there was another layer to this ordeal, one unexpected variable. A man
Kenji
named Kenji Nagai.
Okay. What he did?
Nagai was a journalist from Japan with a lengthy track record of reporting on situations in dangerous, even war-torn countries,
Okay.
building up an impressive resume in the journalism community. And
Uh-huh.
during the Saffron Revolution, he was visiting the region with his camera to document the events firsthand, as he had done with so many conflicts before. Yet despite having so-called special protection due to his journalist status,
Okay.
Kenji never made it back home, with Myanmar officials reporting that he had accidentally been struck in the chest by a stray bullet, making him the only foreign
Damn.
casualty in this ordeal.
Damn, what
The
unlucky
revelation
guy,
was
dude.
obviously heartbreaking for his family and for the entire country of Japan, who strongly condemned the slaying of Kenji as well as the slaying of the other protesters. But
Brave
still,
guy though, you
officials
know?
in Myanmar asserted that this was all just an unfortunate accident, a classic case
Really?
of a man being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But this was only the beginning of the story.
Damn.
Days later, the Japanese media would receive a video recording of the bloodshed that occurred on that notorious day, when the streets of
Oh, so I feel like Japanese people or Japanese government will really look into this television reporter that how did he die, like how he got shot in the chest, why they did to our journalist like that. So I guess they're gonna look into it and they're gonna see, oh, you guys were literally shooting towards people. So I guess they're gonna go against Myanmar or something. Let's see. That's what I
Yangon
feel
turned
like.
into a one-sided battlefield, and the contents were alarming to say the least.
逃げ惑う群衆を追いかけるように響き渡る数発の銃声。この時カメラは倒れ込む半ズボン姿の男性を捉えていた。
Is that him?
The footage shows a crowd of people desperately running for their lives.
Right.
When, in the corner of the frame, you can see a man dressed in white, holding a camera as he falls to the ground.
Wait,
It was
wait,
Kenji Nagai.
Once again.
Crowd of people desperately running for their lives. When, in the corner of the frame, you can see a man dressed in white, holding a camera as he falls to the ground. It was Kenji Nagai. And he hadn't tripped or even been shot at this point, but instead, he was seen being pushed by a soldier. A soldier who now pointed his weapon at the man who was now lying helplessly on the ground, and fired a shot directly into his chest.
Whoa. That's just too much. You know? You can, yeah, I'm sure now Japanese government will be like, oh, hell no, you cannot do that to us, you know?
Yes,
to our people.
Leaving him there to die.
Shit, man.
Following this, a separate photographer on the scene managed to capture an image of Kenji moments after the attack, and in the photo, Nagai was still holding onto his camera, documenting the carnage around him, as he laid there bleeding to death, having taken a bullet directly into his heart.
Damn, what a brave guy.
The revelation was shocking for a few reasons. Most obviously, it disproved the initial claims that Kenji Nagai had been shot by a stray bullet.
Like, he was literally killed by someone, you know? Like, it's not like, oh, it was just an accident, blah, blah, blah. People are protesting and he accidentally got shot too because, you know, government was trying to stop them, you know, all that. It happens, you know, in protests like that. But he was literally killed by a, I don't know, they are saying the soldier. But even that soldier should have done that, man.
This was clearly and quite literally an execution, but it also showed the entire world these harrowing yet inspiring images of a fearless, passionate journalist who continued documenting the battle around him, even as the life left his body, with his corpse being shown minutes later still holding on to that camera.
Damn.
Which leaves us with one burning question. What happened to that camera?
Yeah, what footage can we see from that camera? Maybe that he captured some real moments, you know, some raw moments before he died.
Kenji Nagai had quite literally given his life to capture the images on that device, and with the man being so close to the action, it was likely that whatever was on that camera was incredible, and perhaps even showed his execution up close, which could give more details about how exactly his passing came to be. Yet when his body was returned back to his family in Japan, that camera was nowhere to be found, despite it being in his hands when he passed. Had it been left behind? Was it destroyed in the carnage? Well, it wouldn't take long for these two questions to be answered, as more footage of the event would soon emerge, again on Japanese television. The clip appeared to show one of the soldiers responsible for Kenji's death going in and physically prying the camera from the dead man's hand, and from that point on, it had never been seen again. And with that,
that's what I
one of the most unique lost media searches of all time was underway. And this wasn't an example of lost media that's better off staying lost either, as Kenji's own family was desperate to get this camera back in order to showcase his final images to the world. And so they put out various requests, pleas, and even started a petition begging the government of Myanmar to turn the camera over, assuming that they were the ones who held it in their possession.
Right.
Though despite the immense public pressure throughout the years, nothing ever came of their pleas.
Damn.
In fact, not only did the Myanmar government refuse to give it up, but they continued to assert that Kenji's death was nothing more than an innocent accident.
Wow.
And for many years it would remain this way. Until out of nowhere, a full decade and a half later...
Bro, W person, whoever got this shot at least, you know? At least they know... They have some kind of evidence like how he got killed, how he got shot, or who shot him, you know? Like, it wasn't just what government is saying. Like, they are lying, you know? So, whoever shot this video? Man, okay.
And for many years, it would remain this way. Until, out of nowhere, a full decade and a half later...
Oh. The camera finally got. Wow. Maybe that's his mother or... Okay.
A press conference was held with the family of Kenji Nagai as the camera was finally returned to their possession.
Right.
The story of how this camera got back to them is almost entirely a mystery, A group called the Democratic Voice of Burma was involved in some capacity, though they credited an unnamed individual as the catalyst behind its recovery, with many believing that this person had likely stolen the camera from the government and smuggled it out of Myanmar. But aside from the speculation, no further information was provided, which was probably done to ensure the safety of the individual involved.
Right.
And despite having no confirmation as to where this camera had actually been, the family finally had it in their possession after 15 long years. And they've actually gone on to release bits and pieces of the footage from that day to the media, which finally gives us a look into some of Kenji's final moments.
Alright. So there are many journalists there, huh? Recording it as well. Okay, there comes the army truck, and they will later start shooting at them. Yeah.
Moments after pointing out the military that had moved in to quell the protest, Kenji was executed by one of those very soldiers.
Right. Poor guy, man. For real, like, he's not even protesting, really. He's like on the sidewalk. He's not even, shouting or anything, blah, 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 Like, he's just standing on the side, literally on the side of, like, in the corner, like, oh, look, they just got here. Like, they are doing this, they are doing that. He's not even, so I guess they really just targeted him, That sucks, dude.
Much more footage was actually on that camera, but for the time being, this is all that's been released to the public, and it's likely to remain that way forever. Today, his family hopes that this footage will help highlight the fact that the problems in Myanmar are actually still very prevalent, with the civil unrest continuing to lead to the deaths of hundreds, even thousands of people per year. As for many of the citizens, the battle rages on. Though in a somewhat poetic fashion, the recovery of Kenji's camera actually brought the situation back into the news cycle, meaning that even after his death, Kenji Nagai continues to make a difference.
W journalist, man, but I wish they showed us the little more videos of him recording himself or the last moments. Not those last moments, those could be kind of terrifying, but yeah, some kind of last moments, But damn, W journalist, man, W Kenji Nagai, man, सही गल है. मतलब एंड तक आके भी तुसी एनी हिम्मत रखना कि जो अपना पैशन है जिसले तुसी गए आए हो वो पूरा काम करो, ठीक है. ते मैन या W guy, man, ते अच्छी गल है कि it's good he got his camera back. At least his family got it, Nice. Next up is the Vetan Das accident. What does that mean? What? Oh, it's some show. Okay, some show. So there'll be some accident here. Why?
It was always a big deal when Wet and Das would go on air. After all, it was far and away the most popular show in all of Europe, drawing in millions of viewers to see what crazy segments the show would come up with.
Okay.
The premise of the show was that the contestants were given various unusual challenges that they would attempt to complete in front of a live television audience, with these challenges always being somewhat tailored to the contestants' lives. Though these silly challenges would usually be contrasted by someone attempting something a bit more daring, with these stunts often being reserved for people with some sort of special training before.
Bro, that's what Speed did, right? But he just did it. He just jumped, He didn't touch the car. And this person just kind of did that
beforehand, to assure that they were physically and mentally up to the task in order to avoid injury. The show was very intriguing, with an air of fun and danger all rolled into one, as you never really knew what you were going to get when you tuned in, leading to their program polling roughly 20 million viewers per episode at its peak, which was also helped by the A-list celebrities that often made appearances.
Oh,
and
Michael
on
Jackson.
December 4th, 2010, the lineup was particularly stacked, with Cameron Diaz being featured as well as Justin Bieber, who was set to perform in front of the millions watching at home. But first, things would start off with a stunt performed by 23-year-old Samuel Koch. Samuel
Okay.
was a stuntman and actor in training, already having one stunt credit to his name and a vast amount of training under his belt, making him the
Okay.
perfect candidate to perform something more dangerous and physically demanding. With this in mind, Samuel was given the task of jumping over 5 moving cars, each of which progressively getting longer and harder to clear. And in order to help make things a bit easier, he was given spring-loaded boots or kangaroo shoes, which would allow him to jump higher. The stunt was right on the border of Samuel's capabilities, as
By looking at this, it doesn't even get, it doesn't even go that high, dude. Look how high he's going, how high he's jumping.
And in order to help make things a bit easier, he was given spring-loaded boots or kangaroo shoes, which would allow him to jump higher. The stunt was right on the
Like, look at that. It's just like what? Maximum 3 to 4 feet maximum. Like, you need way more. You gotta go way more higher. Like where his foot starts, maybe a little bit more than that. You have to go up to pass a car, but he still got the plastic thing from that jumping thing. So that can even, it's not like that plastic. I don't know how to explain, man. Like, this made his legs even more lower than how. I feel like this is more dangerous than before, bro.
Capabilities, as during his practice runs, he was just able to clear most of the vehicles, though not without falling multiple times, making it a true challenge, which was what the show was all about.
I see. I feel like this is the reaction as soon as that thing happened, because you can see the host is like, oh, what just happened? That was not in the script, boys. And you can see the ladies like, oh my god.
Though not without falling multiple times, making it a true challenge, which was what the show was all about. And at Samuel's request, his segment would open the show, with his mother watching from the stands, having a microphone attached to her, ready to capture her reaction.
Oh.
Deshalb hier das Timing.
Oh, look how even the car he got is really. I know it's a mini car, but it's like a like a high top car. Like the height of that car is so much. Let's see. Don't tell me he's gonna get hit on the first try. Okay, that was kind of impressive, not gonna lie. That was kind of impressive. But he was close. He was this close kind of hitting it, I thought he's gonna jump like, just jump. But he's doing his actions and jumping forward as well. I thought he's just gonna jump up. Alright, let's see. Okay, one done. Oh, the car's gonna change as he goes. See? Told you. Nah. That can get. Bro, look at the last car. I think so. That will be like SUV or some, like long, big Cadillac or, Yeah. He's about to GG.
The first jump goes off cleanly, making it obvious that Samuel could actually do this.
Okay.
Though when approaching the second car...
No, don't tell me he's gonna get hit on the second car. Oh, that's a Cooper as well. Bro, I really thought GG. I really thought it was GG. So I see the momentum he wanted to make wasn't there, so he stopped.
Samuel bails out, feeling as though something wasn't quite right with his approach. This meant,
bro, those legs are weird, dude. Those jumping things are so weird.
That he would now have to execute the next 3 jumps without fail, or else he would lose the bet. And with the pressure mounting as the third car approached...
Oh, he got more nervous, huh? Whoa!
He nailed it, leaving him just 2 jumps away from winning the prize.
Okay.
Though waiting for him inside that 4th car was a surprise. The drivers of these vehicles weren't just employees of the show, they were actually people Samuel knew, all of which had been good friends of his up until this point. But for the 4th car, with the pressure already on, it would be his own father behind the wheel. They both look at each
No
other from
way.
afar as Samuel raises his hand and his father raises his back.
No way, don't tell me that his father gonna get him killed. No way.
As the two begin towards each other.
And there's some Audi coming up. You can tell it's a long car. Okay, at least they're not coming that fast, you know? What was that? See, I saved him. I saved his life right there. But what was that, dude? Oh, man.
Samuel jumps, but immediately something is wrong.
Yeah.
He's just a bit too low, causing the back of his head to make contact with the windshield. From the footage, it looks like just a graze, so insignificant that you might miss it. But in reality, it's believed that in this moment, Samuel hit his head in such a way that he was knocked unconscious, leaving him in the air with no way of staking his landing.
Oh, he was just this much low, dude. Like his back of helmet or something, just, you know, it went like that on the windshield or some, as they are saying. Oh, damn.
And with that, he
I
falls
thought
to
he
the
made it, dude. I thought it really looks like he made it.
ground, unable to protect himself,
Ooh.
landing directly onto his face.
Oh, man.
With his mother's microphone briefly capturing her initial reaction.
Okay, let's see. That's his mother.
Wie getan?
Nein. Sofort den Arzt, bitte. Sofort ein Arzt.
The camera
Yeah.
cuts to one of the judges, whose face tells us just how bad the scene is. Samuel isn't moving and is totally
Ooh.
unresponsive. Even as his mother runs from the stands to comfort him, he doesn't move an inch. Even worse, the program was beloved due to the fact that they aired no commercials. It was a live feed for as long as 3 hours, meaning that they had no commercial break to cut to. And remember, this was the very first segment.
Rufe ich ab.
Instead, the cameras show the audience, all of whom were standing there stunned.
Of course, they
in complete
cannot
silence
show the
as
guy, you
paramedics
know.
rush in to help the man. It would be several excruciating minutes before the host, Thomas Gottschalk, announced that the show would be cancelled for the evening, ending the program early for the very first time in its history.
Dankeschön, bis gleich, hoffentlich.
Damn, look how many people there are, dude.
With the
They're like
host
whole
being
stadium.
so shaken by what he had witnessed that he resigned immediately after the show.
Whoa.
The good news was Samuel was alive, though
Okay.
he was in rough shape. 2 of his cervical vertebrae had been fractured and his spinal cord was badly damaged,
Whoa.
which left him fully paralyzed from the neck down, turning him
Damn.
instantly into a quadriplegic. And what makes the situation that much more depressing was that, again, his father was the one driving, likely leaving him with unimaginable
Yeah.
guilt, despite the fact that it clearly wasn't his fault.
Of course, it wasn't his fault. Like,
But despite this awful tragedy,
Accident is accident,
Samuel's
you know?
story is actually quite inspiring in the end, as he's gone on to become a successful actor, and even has a credit as an assistant director,
Oh,
taking what was
man.
quite possibly the worst hand he could have ever been dealt with, and going out there and achieving his dreams regardless.
oh,
Though
that's cool.
meanwhile, Wettendas never really recovered from the incident, and would be cancelled just a few years later due to low ratings, with the most popular episode after the incident being one where Samuel himself actually made an appearance, where he forgave the show and claimed that what happened to him was not their fault.
But it was, I mean, you know what, the thing they say, like, do stupid things, win stupid prizes, you know. So like it was kind of, you know, kind of stupid, you know, like it is, of course it is, it's really hella risky, you know, hella risky. So I mean, but the thing is, the person behind the car was his dad, and of course it wasn't his fault as well. He was just driving the car, bruh. So, but he almost made it, dude. He almost made it. Sahi gal hai. Just few inches.
Though it seems the general public was not able to forget that horrific moment they had all witnessed on live TV.
Yeah. Alright. This was the Wettendas accident. Alright.
Live
Next up
TV.
we got is Ghost Watch. Yeah, Ghost Watch. Okay. We're gonna see some ghost at 3 a.m. Oh, hell no. But we're still gonna see them. Let's go.
There's one magical, haunted evening each year when all the scary creatures come out to prowl through every neighborhood.
Bro, I'm
It's
getting
Halloween
scared.
night, 1992. People across the UK are just getting home and settling in for the night, with many
I'm kinda
deciding to
scared.
turn on their televisions in search of some spooky content to fit the mood, only to find a rather surprising option from an even more surprising source.
Halloween?
The BBC. They were
Okay.
airing a new special called Ghost Watch, a daring mission that followed famed BBC presenter Michael Parkinson and a team of reporters as they aimed to capture definitive proof of the existence of ghosts.
Okay.
And to add another layer of tension, they
It's like nowadays, you know, going to abandoned buildings and places and, you know, or schools, blah, blah, and, you know, finding ghosts and using different devices. Hey, is anyone there? Please talk to me. Say hello if you want me to leave. Stuff like that, you know.
they would attempt to do so live on TV. At the
Correct,
time, this was
Charles.
extremely unique, especially for the BBC, which was known to be one of the most trusted news stations in the UK. And making things even more interesting,
BBC,
they weren't
old,
going to
old.
be doing their investigation at a well-known haunted destination, but
Oh.
rather a simple suburban home. A home inhabited by a family and what they claimed to be an intense, even violent spirit named Mr. Pipes. The name was given because the spirit produced loud banging noises, which the mother initially believed to be the home's old water pipes. The mother's name was Pamela
I'm
Burley,
scared,
and she lived in
dude.
the home with her two daughters, Suzanne and Kim. And for months, they had been desperately trying to get the media's attention to help with these hauntings. However, most reporters who visited the scene labeled them as crazy. And so this was their moment to prove to the world that these paranormal occurrences were in fact real. Though early on, most viewers were left feeling the exact opposite way. Inside the home, reporter Sarah Green would experience essentially no activity for the first hour, with Michael
Okay.
Parkinson and a skeptic they had brought on for an interview casting serious doubt that the phenomena experienced inside the home prior was anything supernatural, instead blaming these supposed occurrences on psychological issues. And things only got worse from here, as upon hearing Mr. Pipe's infamous banging noises, Sarah actually caught Suzanne making the sounds herself by hitting a hammer against the wall, essentially disproving the entire story of the house.
Quite extraordinary. We set
Oh.
out to catch a ghost, and sadly, very sadly, what we witnessed was a remarkable exposure of a hoax.
Let's not be too hasty.
Oh, come on, Doctor, please, we...
It was a rough showing. However, by the show's final hour, things began to take an unexpected turn.
What?
Suzanne, are you okay? It's all right, love. Don't get upset, love. Your mum's here. Oh, dear God.
What happened?
Suddenly, the show cuts to Suzanne, who is lying unresponsive in her bedroom, completely covered in scratches.
Oh man. So some ghost did that to her? Bro, I'm getting scared, dude.
Thrusting the broadcast into utter chaos.
We will stay with you. What was that? Where are we going? Just outside. Where are we going?
As they rush to help her, loud banging noises emanate from all across the home, despite the
Yeah.
fact that everyone was now accounted for. It was horrifying, and made even more so as the camera shows Suzanne hiding behind a couch.
Susie.
Dude, no way. Is that her voice now? Chudela, the like ghost, dude. Like real ghost. Stop. Not like that, but you can hear. You
As
hear
the
it.
camera shows Suzanne hiding behind a couch.
Bro, that's scary.
Stop it! Stop it, Susie!
Where she begins to speak in a low, unrecognizable voice, almost as if she was possessed.
Yeah, she is possessed. How
Now,
do you?
in
What
case
do
you
you
haven't
mean?
caught on yet, Ghost
Maybe.
Watch is a work of fiction. The entire show was actually a staged, pre-recorded movie, with everyone you see here being actors, except for Michael Parkinson, who was actually a presenter of the BBC, who was used to make the movie look as authentic as possible, in order to terrify the viewers. In fact, the show had even started with a brief disclaimer, explaining
Wait, this was fake? Was that fake? No way.
that this was all going to be a staged performance.
But that wasn't right.
BBC One, Screen One presents an unusual and sometimes disturbing film marking Halloween. Using the modern idiom of the outside broadcast, Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, Mike Smith and Craig Charles star in Ghost Watch.
But the problem was, most people didn't see this. And with the movie aiming to look as authentic as possible, many just took it at face value and truly believed that they were watching an actual real-life possession unfolding before their eyes. And the program wasn't over either. I won't spoil too much of the film, but from this point on, everything is chaotic and extremely tense, leading to the revelation being made that through this program, they had essentially just performed one massive seance, which left each of the 11 million viewers watching at home supposedly susceptible to demonic possession, with the program ending with Michael Parkinson himself becoming possessed.
Bro, if this part is fake too, that's pretty cool show, not gonna lie. That's like cool, like, everybody, taking part in the film or show as a ghost. Like, that's kind of, like hella scary, but cool though.
That my wife is safe.
We have got an emergency generator, whether or not we should be bringing in, I don't know.
I'm not going.
Water keeps working. Round and round the garden, like a teddy bear.
After which the camera shuts off and Ghostwatch comes to an end.
Okay.
The program immediately caused widespread panic, with the network receiving over 30,000 phone calls that night, most of which coming from horrified viewers. Even Parkinson's own mother phoned the show in hysterics as she genuinely believed her son had been possessed and potentially even killed.
Whoa.
The stories from that night are incredible, with one woman calling the show and demanding compensation for a new pair of trousers, as her husband had quite literally
Someone was demanding new pair of trousers.
One woman calling the show and demanding compensation for a new pair
One
of
woman,
trousers,
okay.
as her husband had quite literally defecated himself out of fear.
Man,
as well as two
man,
boys who
okay.
presented to their doctors with symptoms of PTSD. It was complete and utter madness. But of all the reactions to Ghostwatch, one individual took it the hardest. Among the 11 million viewers watching was an 18-year-old named Martin Denham, who was tuning in from his family's living room with his parents and younger sister. As the show progressed, Michael began acting strangely, curling up into a ball and becoming unresponsive. All the while, his eyes stayed locked on the screen, watching these horrific events unfold, with his family describing it as if he had been hypnotized. Now, Martin did suffer from a learning disability, which apparently affected his behavior at times, but this was something entirely new. Starting that night, he was overcome with intense paranoia, as he began hearing noises around the house, which his
Bro, I'm getting scared, dude.
parents recognized as the water pipes. This explanation only increased Martin's fear, however, as this was the exact excuse the mother had used on Ghostwatch to initially explain the paranormal phenomena. And so each time he heard these deep thudding noises, he believed they were coming from Mr. Pipes, with a spirit infiltrating his home thanks to that cursed show that he still believed to be real.
Bro, even I
Over the
thought
next
that was
few
real.
days, Martin refused to spend any time in the dark, and even asked to switch bedrooms as he believed Mr. Pipes was hiding in his walls. But
Oh,
nothing could
man.
alleviate his panic. It was all just too much.
TV Ghostwatch killed our... Oh, man.
5 days after Ghostwatch aired, Martin Denham would end his own life, leaving behind a note that read, "Please don't worry, if there is ghosts, I will now be one, and I will always be with you as one."
Damn.
Ghostwatch was created to provide a viewing experience that was as realistic as possible, and unfortunately in this case, it succeeded a little too well, thus causing the show to be banned from broadcast in the UK, where it has never aired since.
Bro, why
Though
every...
today, you can still find the full movie across various streaming services,
Oh, there it
where
is.
despite the terrible, unfortunate tragedy that entailed, it's still renowned as an integral part of horror history, while simultaneously being remembered as one of the darkest moments in television history.
Damn. Bro, this was actually scary. For real. I was getting chills and, goosebumps. Ah, alright. Yeah. Lovely video, man. Really good video. These, the darkest secrets in TV history. Not gonna lie, the last one was the most scariest.